Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for stopping by. I am Reverend Joseph T. Davidson, the first pastor of the First Presbyterian Church just down the road here. And it wasn't such a fine building as it is now. Back then we had a little white frame chapel with a nice steeple and some beautiful shade trees, but it was good for us, and we really thoroughly enjoyed it. It took us a while to get that thing built. I mean, if it were not for the good brethren in the Baptist congregation and the Methodist congregation, we probably never would have gotten a roof over our heads. Well, I'm one of the fortunate who had the privilege of preaching the word and saying, "Thus saith the Lord," you know. And I actually came here first as a missionary. My brother John and I were sent out from the old brick church in Fairfield County, South Carolina, to come here to evangelize, to hold revivals on the countryside, and that's exactly what we did. And in the process, we started many new churches. And so it was a good life and very, very enjoyable. My brother John had the privilege of going to Princeton Seminary. I wasn't that fortunate. I read and studied under the tutelage of Dr. Cunningham in Georgia. But the truth is, I had to pretty much educate myself for the rest of my life, and continued to do that while farming, evangelizing, pastoring, teaching school, raising children, and so it was a long, hard process. I married Miss Mary Hawthorne in 1841, and as you can see by this that meant we had 40 years together, which was pretty fortunate back in those days. When I began my work here in the Homer area, I was related to every Presbyterian that was here. I either brought them with me, or my sister also lived here, who came just a few years ahead of me. But that changed. There was some wonderful growth, and John and I held revivals all around in the countryside, and we held revivals here, of course, in Homer, and also in the Alabama area and the Vienna area. And the revival that really sticks in my memory was at Rocky Mount. And it was something. I had been preaching twice a day for 2 weeks, and we already had 43 converts at that time, and the revival was at its height. It was going great, and I just seemed moved to say, "Folks, it's time to stop preaching and get to work." In other words, I was encouraging them to get busy with forming a congregation, building a church, and doing the work that all had to be involved in. So I ministered to a lot of people around the area in any way they needed, praying for their needs, and ministering to the sick, and taking them through the hard times of life and struggles, and had to do a lot of traveling in the old buggy to get that done, which wasn't real easy in that day because the roads were absolutely terrible. particularly if it was a rainy season. The roads were mud, and a lot of the streams were swollen, and to take a horse and buggy across some of those streams was a very difficult process. And in fact, there were times that I can remember back that I just had to park the buggy, get out, and swim. You know, when you believe in taking care of your parishioners, you go through just about anything. So that was the way life was going, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I was finally ordained at the first meeting of the Red River Presbytery at Menden Presbyterian Church. And it was a wonderful day. I remember that as one of the very, very fond memories of my life. I always believed that to be a minister, you met the needs of the people, not as you see them, but as they let you know what their needs were, and you just took care of them right where they were. I also believed strongly in working together with folks from other denominations, and so I had great friends among the pastors of the other churches in the area. But I was a Presbyterian, and I took very seriously my responsibilities as a presbyter, and worked hard to build the church, the congregation, the denomination. I